President, I want to speak about the amendment number 202 by Senator Cruz, which we'll be voting on shortly. Again, the senator from Texas informed us that the amendment would repeal the Affordable Care Act. Well, that approach has already been rejected by the electorate. I just referenced the last election. Also, we've had more than 35 separate votes in the Congress about that, and we've always upheld the Affordable Care Act. But I just want to focus senators' attention on something that's in the Cruz amendment that they may not know. Because when we passed the Health Care and Education Reconciliation Act of 2010, not only did it have the health care portion of it, but it also had a portion in there on education. Because what we did is we stopped that old system of subsidizing banks for student loans, and we changed it into a direct loan program. That was about a $61 billion transfer from the banks getting these risk-free government subsidies to basically putting it in so that students could get more of the money. So under that provision, for example, $36 billion of those savings went to increasing the Pell Grants. So now we have a higher Pell Grant award, and it's indexed to the rising cost of living. The Cruz amendment, maybe the senator didn't understand it when he drafted it, but in the drafting of it, it does away with that. So if you vote for the Cruz amendment, you are in fact voting to cut Pell Grants. Go back and tell your colleges and universities that. You may not know that, but that's what's in that Cruz amendment. Also, $2.55 billion went to investments in historically black colleges and universities serving minority students. That would be cut out with the Cruz amendment. Another $2 billion went to community colleges. That would be cut out by the Cruz amendment. So it's not just the Affordable Care Act, folks, that's being cut or done away with by the Cruz amendment, but all of the things we did to bolster education for minority students, for disadvantaged students, and raising the Pell Grants. I just ask you, talk to your private colleges, talk to your universities in your state, see what they think about that. See what they think about taking away and cutting down on the Pell Grants. That would be the exact result of passing the Cruz amendment. There's one other thing that we did, Mr. President, in that portion of the reconciliation bill. We also put in place an income-based repayment system so that students that graduate from college can base their repayment based on their discretionary income. We capped it. We capped the student loan repayments at 10% of discretionary income so that students who get out, get a job, they only have to pay a maximum of 10% of their discretionary income to repay their student loans. That would be done away with in the Cruz amendment. So I just wanted to point that out. Maybe the senator just didn't realize it when he drafted the amendment, but that's the way it's drafted, and that's the way the vote will occur. So if you think you're just voting to do away with the Affordable Care Act, look again at the amendment. It's not just that, it's also education funding also. So I just wanted to point that out. We're going to hear a lot about a lot of bad amendments coming up today. This is truly a very bad amendment. Maybe it should have been drafted differently to accomplish what the senator from Texas wanted, and that was a clean vote on doing away with the Affordable Care Act. Fine if he wants to do that. But the way it's drafted, it also does away with Pell Grants and community colleges and all the things we did to really help students get a higher education in this country. I just wanted to let senators know that. And if I have at least 30 seconds or 60 seconds left, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I have to yield 3 additional minutes to the senator from Iowa.
Mr. President, I invite all senators, before we start voting today, I invite them to read the Washington Post this morning, front page story, on a Montana reservation, sequester hits hard. It talks about the Fort Peck Reservation and what's going to happen there to these students and these families on this reservation. Please read it. Please. How can we be so cruel? How can we be so heartless? How can we be so immune from understanding the impact of sequester and what's happening to poor kids? This is one classic example. As one student said, as one teacher said there, you know, if you've got a lot and you cut 5%, that's not much. But when you don't have anything, cutting 5% really hurts. It talks about how much they're going to lose in their Head Start program. How many students are going to lose because they don't have support systems on the reservation. It just tears your heart out to read this. And to think about the kind of votes we're going to be having today. What is the impact of those votes on these kids and these families on this reservation? They have no place else to turn. They have no place else to turn. It's not like they have property taxes on the reservation. They don't have that. They don't have businesses there. They don't have anything. But you know what I like most of all is one person was quoted as saying, this is not something that we're giving our Native Americans. This is something we owe them. This is something we owe them. Read your history. All the land that we took from them, hurting them on reservations. This is not a gift. We owe them this, and now we're pulling the rug out from underneath them. Read it. Read about this young girl whose mother committed suicide, and her father is in a drug treatment program in Minnesota. 15 years old, she's trying to make it. And yet we're telling her, basically with our votes here and with this sequester, we're telling her, we don't care. I ask people, read that before we start voting today, and let your conscience be your guide.